talk for a second so I can...
Hello.
Cool.
Any visitors yet?
Not yet. One.
Mic? No. The light.
Maybe turn the lights on in the gym. Might be helpful.
If anyone remembers the week I say. Live on Monday.
You guys can start asking questions right away. The sooner you ask your questions, the more chance you have of them being answered. Hi.
We'll start. We might as well do a set of something. Or really just start actually just doing certain things. Exercises.
Start doing word vomit of information. What are you working on today?
Today, today I train legs kind of. So unfortunately I might have a labrum tear and sucks. So my right leg, my hip has been bugging me for a bit. If you guys have been following for a bit. Anyway, so beginning physio on this. So when I do legs, it's very light just to strengthen my glutes. So if I do have to get surgery, which I'm probably going to, sucks, the recovery process will be fairly simple. So now I could say that this might be from a couple things. One, loading it deep, not heavy, but just like deep wear and tear. And then two, I asked my physiotherapist this morning, I told her when I used to use steroids, I would inject in my glute. I would go one glute, shoulder, delt, shoulder, rear delt, lat. So I would, go around. But this side, for some reason, when I had a lot of I had more scar tissue than the other side, actually way more. And this might be a result. This might be my long-term side effect from steroid use, possibly. So I'll be able to figure out more on that when I get some more information done. But I have to get some imaging done first, and then. So that's what I've been doing for legs today. But the rest of the week I would do my basic push, pull, legs, push, pull. That's it. What?
Nothing yet.
None yet?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, was that your question?
When doing cable rows, I really feel it in my real delts, but not much across the rest of my back. Please help.
When you're doing
cable rolls.
Cable rows?
Yeah.
Cable rows from, are we coming from low, or are we doing like cable rows like down from here, or are we doing cable rows from up here? Where are we doing the cable rows from?
David, if you don't mind letting us know which angle you're doing
the rows
from.
Are we doing medium? Are we doing low, medium, high? And I'll give you an answer. But I can promise you that if you're feeling it in your rear delt. So if you're doing it in your rear delt, a couple of things probably happening. If you're rowing, most of the time when people feeling in their delts, if they're feeling in their delts unintentionally.
Seated to belly button, seated row.
Perfect, cool. So, and I can do these standing up, just kind of give you an idea, but regardless, when you're doing rows, a couple of things are happening. You might be doing unintentionally. I'll show you intentionally how your rear delts would feel. If I'm intentionally trying to get my rear delts to work when I'm doing rows, I want my shoulder or my arm to be out like this and pulling fairly high. So most of the time when people do, let me just grab this. Most of the time, when we're doing seated cable rows, and you're feeling it, it's sometimes it's like we want to pull here, but most of the time we end up pulling like this.
Do that again so I can show from the back too.
So here's the proper row down here. You can see where my shoulders are. When we're doing it, when you're feeling the rear delts, you're probably doing something like this, where your elbows are flaring out a little more, they're away from your body, and then you're getting more trapped. Because this, geez, just holding the weight here, I'm feeling my traps in my rear delts. So if you don't want your rear delts to be in the equation or taking over, you're doing it, elbows are close to your side, elbows are pushing down to the floor. So when you're rowing, you have this look and not this look. And that's very easy to do on accident, by accident, because for the most part, when it comes to pressing your shoulder and doing, lats, it's very hard for people to really get that concept because it's not a normal thing to do, right? It's very normal for us to just pull something in our traps, do a lot of the work and pulling like this, because it's going to feel like you're working your lats because you're pulling. Because we're doing this, we're doing a seated row. But just because we're sitting and rowing doesn't mean we're actually doing a seated row. So we want to be down here, chest up, a little bit of angle this way, and then pulling and keeping the elbows pushing to the floor when you do it. Take that milk the cow, cue I give, like pull the udders down while you're rowing, and you'll feel your lats and not your rear delts.
Sweet. Hey man, what machines do you recommend for a first-time gym goer? I've been thinking on doing some upper first.
All the machines. All machines are absolutely amazing for all levels, but with mostly beginners because it allows you to basically, just get into the machine and you do the machine and you can keep some of that technique, work on your form while not have to worry so much on stabilize. Like you should work on stabilization, but like balancing whatnot. So like if you're doing dumbbells, hard to do, even barbells. So if you're doing like a machine and it's an upper and you're like, hey, I want to do chest today, and you might have a chest machine. Well, now we can get into a chest machine and we're good here. Just make sure you're doing this. So you're pressing upper, make sure that your handles line up to your nipple, right? So here's my nipple, here's my handles, and basically here you go, right? And this allows you to really work on stacking the joints, right? Taking some of the cues I give them, like make sure the fist, wrist, and elbow stay stacked when you're pushing, right? And you can do these things, keep the chest up, your feet on the floor, core engage, a little bit of arch in your back, and you can do this without worrying about having dumbbells and these things kind of doing this. So think of like a regression. You're gonna go from for pressing, I always kind of give this progression. You go from doing a plank to being able to do a push-up. Now you're going into machines, then you're going to barbell to dumbbell, right? So think of that in terms of progressing. So get better and get stronger in here, and then start sprinkling in some of the free weight stuff.
Hey Johnny, is it useful to do sumo deadlifts and Romanian deadlifts on the same leg day?
It is. You're working similar muscle groups, but it's those are two really good movements to do to help build your lower body, especially like your glutes and your hamstrings, right? So if you're doing like sumos, we're getting a really good amount of, from being here, we get really good adduction from here, and we're getting hip flexion and extension, so we're working glutes and adductors, right, primarily, and then obviously erectors, whatever. And then we flip it over to doing, RDLs. Now we're working hamstrings and glutes from this way. So, and a good thing about that is you're not necessarily gonna really, really tire yourself out too much. One's not really gonna steal from the other. I would just make sure you kind of spread them out in your exercise. Maybe have your hamstrings maybe at the end and your RDLs at the end, maybe sumos at the beginning, or vice versa. But either way, just think of making sure that you're using a weight that's gonna help exhaust the muscle. You're not a power lifter. If you are, power lift away. But if you're not a power lifter, then think of hypertrophy reps, hypertrophy weight with that exercise, and you'll benefit greatly.
I'm glad you went natty. Any big differences in the way you feel?
100%. I can say from a psychological standpoint, when I was competing, that was a mind F for me, was because prep didn't feel as mentally exhausting. When I was on 100%, I had a therapist, I still have a therapist, but when I was using, I knew how much I'd have to manage my mental health 100%. When I wasn't, like when I'm not anymore, there wasn't that case at all, which is cool. And even till today now, like I can definitely tell there's a difference in my entire demeanor, my mental health and clarity by not doing steroids. Yeah.
Does stretching stimulate muscle growth?
No. Stretching under load does, right? Like if you're holding a weight down like this and you're engaged, yes. Lowering the weight into it, yes. If I'm just kind of over here, stretching my legs or whatever, it's not stimulating muscle growth at all. You need a low, you need a stimulus heavy enough to elicit muscle growth.
Hey Johnny, how much break between drop sets?
Drop sets, like I said, you can do, I would say like you could do like a 30 seconds to kind of wait a bit, or you can anything up to 30 seconds. And some people are like, yeah, you should be doing it right away, and you can 100%. The whole point of drop sets or like I would say resting short in between is to make sure tension stays fairly high. So some people, I've made a comment before, and they're like, 30 seconds is a long time. But it's like, if you think about 30 seconds being a long time, well, think about how much tension you're still continuing set to set to set when you rest 2 minutes for an actual set. So resting 30 seconds still manages to give you a lot more tension for that drop set. It allows you to, perform at a high level at the drop set as well too. So if anything up to 30 seconds, I would say anything between like 15 to 30 seconds, you're fine.
David, glad that made sense for you. 368 to 350 in the past month and a half watching your videos. Thank you.
Nice.
Thinking about taking creatine. I feel like he means creatine. Yeah. What are your thoughts?
Take it. 3 to 5 grams a day. You don't have to load it. You don't have to, do any kind of whatever when you come off. Just start it and read the benefits. It's for muscle growth, and it's also for your cognitive health as well too. So don't think it's just for muscle. It helps your brain as well too. So Createc. Yeah, Createc. Createc from Blue Star. Bam, take it, 100%.
Best exercise to fix constant forward posture from the office.
So you can, posture is something that we have to teach ourselves to be aware of and do, right? So like if I do exercises, like I say, like the notion is like, or the misconception is like, I'm doing a lot of chest work, or I'm sitting at my desk and I'm like this, and now I'm forever like this, and now I got to do something that's going to make me stay like this. When you slouch and when you do all these things, is your body's way of preserving energy. So it's just something that you have to be conscious of, to making sure that you keep yourself in a posture when you're at the desk. So it's just being aware. Like you can do all the back exercises you can put a bunch of K tape all over the place to get you like this, but in the end it's going to be you being conscious, telling yourself do this. Now for me, like I am always like this because I'm conscious of it, and I'm not like I'm conscious all day like this, like I'm stiff. I've worked on that like constantly, on a day-to-day basis, and now my posture is fairly, consistent. Trust me, I slouch when I sit down here and there. Of course I do. But like for the most part, I make sure that I'm like this. I'm staying upright when I'm at my desk and doing any kind of work. I make sure I'm upright and not doing like this, because eventually, yeah, you can get some neck problems, some back problems. But again, just think of just literally easy one. Think about a cue. Think about like someone's got a hook on your chest and someone's hanging you from the hook on your chest. So that kind of brings you up like this. Just doing this. I'm not flexing anything. I'm just basically pulling my chest up and staying like this.
On squats or any lift, which part of your feet are you pushing off of or generating the majority of your power?
So we have a couple things you can think of when you're doing this. You want to think in all everything, leg, standing, whatever it is. You want your heel to be on the floor. You want your toe, your big toe, and your pinky toe all to be on the ground, right? There's not a part of your foot you should be pushing from. You're pushing from the entire part of your foot. So if I like pull my shoe off, I want to be here on the ground. Then I want this toe be flat on the floor, gripping the floor, and my toe. So like when it comes to balance, and I get, like I said, I get hip issues right now, balance-wise, I'm gonna have a lot more balance like this.
Sorry.
Right? I have way more balance sitting like this. My feet are like my entire foot is gripping the floor right now. So if I'm gonna move or do this or touch the ground or whatever and stand back up, I have a lot more, balance because my feet are gripping the floor. If I curl my toe up and do the same thing, I'm actually gonna fall over, right? Right? Because I'm balancing. So think of like your hands, think of your feet just like your hands. If I want to have a better grip of things, the entire hand is being used. So think of that with your feet too.
I'm 52. How many sets or reps should I be doing for chest?
Same as you would if you were, same rules apply, right? You're looking at like in a day, 3 to 12 sets a day for each muscle group, right? So that can change, it can vary depending on where you're at in your fitness level. If you're a beginner, I recommend maybe the higher end. If you're advanced, then you can get away with a little bit less. But again, it's not necessarily that, which is the question, it's more so like the load you're using. Like how hard are you pushing each set? Effort-wise can still be high, but the load itself, start to think of loads that make the most sense for you to be able to recover every day, right? So don't think about poundage and poundage to your joints. Obviously, it takes a little longer for us to heal when we get a little older. So, same as everything else, 3 to 12 hard sets.
Do you do tibia raises, and how can I do them at home?
You can do, if you don't have, a couple things you do, really easy. Lean on, just lean like this and do that. Go on slow, and then curl your feet up as high as you can, and go down slow. And do this to failure, and you're fine.
Hey, Johnny, you should get a regular guy for demo and then correct him.
I should, eh?
You can also send in a video if you would like to be corrected.
If you want me to correct your form, send your video to, it's an easy one. Send it to hardcore.training02@gmail.com. Send me your video, send me your name, all that stuff, and I will coach you up in an episode of Coaching Up. Hope everyone saw that. I'll write that down if you can write it down.
Yes. I currently weigh 158 and my daily maintenance is 2,370 calories. I want to increase muscle mass. My goal is to reach 170 pounds. I'm lean and work out 6 days a week. How much calories should I consume daily?
So if maintenance is keeping you at maintenance and you want to increase muscle mass, don't go too fast. 250 calories is, and if you're already lean already, which is a good thing, 250 calories, keep that there. Check yourself every 2 weeks. Check to see what your weight is doing, what your conditioning looks like. Again, you're gonna gain a little bit of fat, a little bit, but we wanna minimize the amount of fat you gain when you're on your way up to putting on muscle mass, right? If you do 500 calories above maintenance, you're gaining a pound of fat guaranteed a week, 100%. Is that gonna turn over to muscle? Maybe, but nowhere near as fat's gonna accumulate. So just think like 250 calories, do 250 calories, 2 weeks, keep training, look at yourself in the mirror when you're doing your check-ins for yourself, see how things are going. Are you getting stronger? Are you increasing your reps or weight, on a week-to-week basis? Is your pumps getting better? Those kind of things can kind of give you an idea of like if you're gaining muscle on the way, but be patient with muscle gain. It's not gonna be something that you're gonna see right away like fat will. So 250 calories.
Just a comment. Hello, Johnny. Slav from Ireland here again. I would like to thank you for all your advice regarding gym and exercises.
Appreciate you.
And when you will be in Ireland, we can go for a big T-bone.
Let's go. Yes, yes, sir.
Would you say pull-ups have a benefit if you combine them with pull-downs, or is it the same?
They have a benefit because here's a benefit you're gonna have. Like there's a strength carryover from doing actual pull downs. So like if you're doing, say, pull-ups, I think it's why I kind of like doing pull-ups and then doing pull-downs, or doing, you know, supinated pull-ups and then supinated pull-downs. When I get to a place where, like, say, like I'm doing like 3 sets of just pull-ups, and obviously, like, I'm gonna gas out here because, you know, body weight is pretty heavy. Then I can translate this and continue this same exercise into the pull-down machine, and then continue to get stronger. So, like, if I reach failure here, right, I can't pull myself up anymore, I continue that set into the machine, and that'll kind of give me that ability to increase my strength in pulling, instead of having this as like, I can't do any more, then that's it for the day. So 100% there's benefit in doing it. I recommend doing those first before doing pull-ups. I mean, before doing the pull downs, because if you do pull downs first, then trying to do pull-ups, you're going to be a lot weaker. Now, and you can obviously do like assist and whatnot, but like I said, I would do that first.
Can you do a guide for dumbbell and barbell workout at home for each muscle? Those videos can be done, yeah.
A dumbbell and barbell?
And barbell workout.
Yes.
Yeah.
100%.
What's better, training to failure or training normally? I would say just like a straight set.
So there's benefit to training to failure, and there's benefit to training to close to failure. It's not necessary to train to failure all the time. So as long as you're coming close to failure, or you're at least exhausting the muscle, you're good. You don't have to be pinned under a machine or whatever to have a good workout. So the only reason why I like saying to train to failure every once in a while, so you actually have a gauge of what failure feels like. So when you're training to a few reps from failure, you actually you know what that feels like, right?
Hi from the Netherlands. Your videos and playlists start some weight training. Do you have some starting tips for me so I can keep it up? I lose motivation after training for a while.
Ooh, we got a real talk. Who's this guy?
This is Mindlock.
Mindlock, the real world of training is, I've been training since I was 11 years old. So you can't say that I've been motivated for 30 years training in the gym. To keep yourself motivated, think of like having, you know, some short-term goals along the way that you can continue to keep reaching. And that's the kind of thing kind of brings you back to the gym. And then eventually you have to start really like loving what you're doing, or like loving, but like at least like making this thing part of your life. Like training for me is part of life. It's like brushing my teeth. I don't need motivation to brush my teeth or take a shower. So like when you're starting off, to keep yourself in the gym, continue to have like little goals. You know, it could be like, you know, adding reps and weight, obviously. It could be like, you know, a benchmark of you know, form and whatnot. So like there's things you can do to keep yourself motivated to the gym. But if you're solely relying on motivation as the thing that's going to keep you going, it's not going to last. Motivation dies down eventually, and then after, what you're left with is like your plan, your strategy, and your goals.
Excuse me. Can you just do leg extensions for overall quad development?
Yes, 100%. It's like it's nuts to think about that, but like that's the leg extensions is one of the only like quad isolating movements. And what I mean by isolation means like it's not involving anything else. Like if you do like lunges, yeah, we're getting some quads in there, but we're also using glutes and the hamstrings. If we're doing, you know, leg press, same idea. So yeah, for sure, you can definitely do it.
Johnny, I had a back injury in the past in my lower back disc. What is the best exercise to build muscle around lower back area to support the spine? Thank you.
Core engagement is massive, right? So we can do all of the back extensions till the cows come home. And there's nothing wrong with doing back extensions and whatnot, but like making sure that we're engaging our core is absolutely key to engaging our back. So I'll give you, what's somebody's name?
Oh shoot, sorry. Slowermere.
My man, I'm saying yes. So everybody who's watching right now, if you want to kind of get an understanding, take your hand like this on your stomach, take your other hand, put it on your lower back. And I want you to say push, pull. Like say it hard, push, pull, right? When you say it, you'll probably feel your core tense up, and at the same time, you'll feel your erectors tense up as well too. That's how you're gonna keep your back from getting more injured. Reason why I have deteriorating vertebrae is because I lifted heavy for a long time while not engaging my core. I've solely relied on my belt and my lower lordosis to keep the weight. So I compressed the heck out of my back, and now I have issues with sciatica. So now for me, engaging my core helps tilt my pelvis up a little bit, align my spine better, and it keeps my core and my erectors engaged. So when I'm doing any exercise, you should be engaging your core. So yes, do some, planks are good to do to kind of give yourself a better understanding, like a feel for engaging your core. But like you can do some back extensions, whatnot. Again, when you're doing back extensions, you still want to make sure you're engaging your core, right? So that, and then like goblet squats are good for, keeping your erectors engaged. It's one of the really good, it's a great exercise to keep yourself engaging your torso and having strength going down and whatnot. So give that a try.
Crystal wants to know, should you split leg days between quads, hams, glutes, or full leg days 2 times a week?
It all depends on what part of your muscle group is weaker or stronger than another. So for instance, I'm coaching Carolyn. She has 2 leg days a week. And right now we're primarily trying to do more hamstrings. So I'm adding more hamstrings on both of her days. But before that, we have one day where it was quad and one day where it was hamstrings to give us more time to basically give more attention to one muscle group, to build up muscle group. So you can, if your quads are already developed, you don't have to do, a quad day. You can add your weaker leg muscle group, whatever, on those days. If you have, like myself, fairly balanced legs, then I have everything all in one day.
So you're thinking of Devonte Adams. With lateral raises, should I aim for a higher rep range, like 15 to 20, or more weight and 10 to 12 reps?
Who's that? Same person?
No, that's TSH.
Just in general?
Yeah, with lateral raises, should I aim for a higher rep range, 15 to 20, or more weight and 10 to 12?
So for me, the accessory work is like, I feel you benefit more from a lighter weight and a higher rep. Just because like poundage on joints, especially like lateral raises or like shoulders in general, I find that having a higher rep range with a more moderate weight is a lot more beneficial. Like when you're doing like chest, yeah, we can use a lower rep range and a heavier weight, still like controlled reps and tempo. But when we're getting to like the accessory stuff, I don't think we need to really pound there's no point in me taking, I can do 50-pound lateral raises, but like how many reps can I do where I'm keeping most of the tension onto my delt than me just doing 25 to 30-pound lateral raises, right? So I would recommend doing a lighter load, not light being like you can easily do it, but a load that you're gonna take that rep range to bring you to exhaustion.
I heard a specific amount of sets aren't necessary if you go to true failure. So you can get the same results from 1 to 2 sets. Is that not true?
So I get what you're saying. So like we're talking about like, how many, put it this way. So you're talking about, how many sets should you do in a day per muscle group? So we already said like 3 to 12 hard sets. If you're doing, if you take 4 or 5 of those sets of chest, every one of them to failure, you're good. You don't need to go, again, that's why there's always a range of like 3 to 12 hard sets. It all depends on what those hard sets look like, right? So you can get to a hard set of just like, I came to a couple sets to failure. Yeah, you're fine. You could probably continue to do more sets and reach that higher end of the, rep range. Of the sets. But if you're doing like, 4 or 5 sets and they're like drop sets or like a superset or rest pause, whatever, yeah, you can definitely do you can do less sets, but you still want to get in at least the minimum. That's a good question.
Jay says, 350 guy here. Lately haven't been feeling the pump when lifting. Am I not working hard enough even though I'm getting stronger and upping weight?
So pump and lactic acid are good tells if there's muscle, if there's like, I would say, you're stimulating muscle growth. I would say that what you're eating before can help with that. So like, having some sodium in your food will help with pumps and whatnot, and water, whatnot, like helps with that. Carbs, like some, high glycemic, like your potatoes, your rice, pastas, whatever, those things would help with pump. So look at what you're doing, look at your pre-training nutrition and micronutrients before, and see what, that might help you out there.
This person is, I believe they're asking how to widen the part of the leg right before the ankles. So I think they're saying that their calf isn't small, but right here is small, and they want to know how to widen this part of their leg area.
It's genetics, buddy. There's like, so here you go. Here's my leg, okay? My calf, like this is how my family is. My whole family has pretty big, like muscle structure, bone structure, right? So all of us, my mom, my brother, on my dad's side, skinny legs. On my mom's side, big ass legs. But muscular wise, my tibialis, like you're looking at, training this part, this muscle right here. If you look at where that muscle starts on me, it starts a little further up. And then you're looking at this part of my muscle as well too. So you're looking at this part here. I can build this muscle by doing like, some tibialis exercises in my calves, but like, it's just a very structured thing genetically. So it's not like I can build only this part here. If you got muscle that's structured in a way where it's lower, doing, calf raises and tibialis exercises will help build that area, but we simply can't just make muscle appear in certain parts of our body just because, so, and to be honest, you don't want thick ass ankles. If you have some nice little thin ankles here, it makes your calves look bigger. If you're trying to bodybuild, small little joints make everything look that much more amazing, to be honest.
Do you recommend a high foot position on leg press for glutes? And is there a good rep range?
No, so like, I'm just not a big fan of using, the reason why like leg press isn't the best thing for glutes is because we don't get full, like we get some stimulus on the way down, but we don't get full extension. So understanding what our butt does. Our butt allows us to basically kind of do this, right? And then this. Erectors help with that as well too, right? So our butt does this and this. Flexion, extension. The only problem when we're doing leg press is we are still in this, well, I guess we're over here. We have a leg press. So we have a leg press. You can see that I can't extend here at all, right? I can push my feet up here and then, I can get my glutes are on right here, but if I want my glutes to really get everything, and right here, like they're still kind of flexed. The only way for me to really get up is if this happens, and that's not happening when you're doing leg press. So if you're trying to build glutes on a leg press, don't. You can definitely stimulate them, but for the most part, your quads are gonna get the most out of this as exercise. And like slightly when you're loading your hamstrings on the way down eccentrically. But like quads is gonna get most of the juice here. But then again, like, yeah, you will get some activation in your glutes, but not like you would if you would just do anything where there's full hip flexion and hip extension.
What would your advice be to have a healthy body?
Healthy body, a few things. Make sure you're eating enough protein, 1 to 1 grams of protein per body weight. Make sure the calories you're eating are enough to make sure they're hitting all the basics of, what your body needs in terms of like maintenance. Drinking at least, what's this in? Drink at least a gallon of water a day. That's 4 liters in Canada and everywhere else. Make sure you're getting enough sleep, meaning like 6 to 8 hours if you can. And I say 6 to 8 hours because you can sleep 8 hours all you want, but if you're waking up, you're groggy, it doesn't matter how long you sleep, it's the quality of sleep you get. So as long as you're getting good quality sleep and you're able to last the day without nodding off, good. And then on top of that, make sure you get like 150 minutes of cardio a week. That's 5 days a week, 30 minutes of cardio, or you can stretch out even longer. And getting out in the sun, vitamin D, if you're not in a place that has sun all the time, but like vitamin D, something that for sure helps your immune system. Omega-3 is going to help with your cognitive health, your all those things, your immune system. And then like obviously like training, you don't have to train every single day. 30 to 40 minutes, 3 times a week of resistance training will reduce all of the shittiest things that can happen to you in terms of like cognitive health, diabetes, high cholesterol, all those things. So a lot of people that I'm coaching right now, most of them are reversing some of those things I just said because they didn't take care of those things earlier. And just from putting them into a place, so just doing exactly what I just said, has reduced a lot of their issues already. So just those are super easy things to do. And then like meditation, do something where you're getting outside of the gym where you can have some alone time yourself, reflect on things, go for walks, do some yoga, whatever it is, where you can kind of like have a sense of like self. Those are all things that help you out for sure.
Mads wants to know top 3 cheap foods to eat when on a low budget. I'm studying in Denmark and my money is low.
Top cheap? On a cheat?
No. Top 3 cheap.
Oh, cheap.
Like on a budget. Your top 3 meals if you were eating on a budget while training.
Okay, this brings me back.
Top 3 foods.
This brings me back to my college days because I was actually legit poor. So one thing, rice is super cheap, right? Rice is cheap, pasta is cheap. So those are super easy to make. Get like ground beef, and ground beef, like I'm talking like, your not your extra lean because it's more expensive. You just get your regular as ground beef, it's not that good. But what you do is you basically cook it and rinse it until you don't see all the fat coming out of it. I made meals like that, and then I made the same kind of meal, and I'll have like chicken, and my chicken would be like something very, it wasn't a chicken breast because chicken breast costs more money. So like chicken thighs, chicken wings. Those are good. And then like frozen veggies, right? Frozen veggies are easy to get. They're cheap and you can put them in the fridge for a long time and you'll be fine. So those are some easy things to do. Keeping it basic and simple. What I did, I didn't even have money for pasta. I was like, we shared a big ass thing of rice and I made rice, ground beef and veggies, and that was my meal. I'll have that maybe like twice a day. And then I would have my morning meal would be like, I'd buy a big ass thing of oats because oats are pretty cheap. Oats, and then if you can afford protein, great, protein powder, scoop of that in there, you're good to go. Those are a couple of things you can do. They're pretty cheap. What else? Eggs are pretty cheap in the States, 100%. You go to Walmart, I think they're $11 for 60 eggs. So yeah, go to Walmart. If you're in the States, go to Walmart, and the world is your oyster.
Thanks so much for answering a question earlier about foot placement on the floor. When lifting, as you mentioned, the whole foot, but what about walking, running, and boxing?
Walking, running, and boxing? My man's trying to give me all. All right, let's go, man. Let's talk about this. All right, so walking and running. The reason why I'm wearing bare feet shoes is because our feet are naturally supposed to spread and touch the ground. They're supposed to feel the entire floor. So when I'm walking, it's a normal thing, heel toe. Not going to teach you how to walk. You know how to walk. Just make sure you keep yourself a little more upright when you walk and not slouch. If we're running is something that we're not running. Like people run and they go from like heel toe. Running is actually like in this part of the foot, and it's actually pulling, right? So when you're running, even skipping, think of like you're being on this part of your feet. You can see me from here, just like bouncing around. That's the part of your feet that you want when you're jogging or running. Just doing this. I'm kind of springy and bouncy, and I can sit here. And because I have these like, bare feet shoes on, I'm more aware of how my feet are spreading and allows my feet to spread. When I'm boxing, it's gonna be similar, like kind of like this. So I will have weight. I don't want a bunch of weight on my front foot. I don't want to be a bunch of weight on my back foot. It's pretty much like pretty even from here. So when I'm turning over, I have my foot here where I can, turn my foot over and I can move around, right? So I don't want to be flat-footed, but I want to have like a little bit of like weight on my front foot. That's kind of coming here, but I don't want to have this thing flat because I want to be able to turn this thing over too. When I push, so you can see the difference and how I'm boxing. Same with like jujitsu. You want to kind of be on the balls, like not like fully on the balls of feet, but like here. You see like there's a little bit of a lift on my back of my heel. That allows me to be able to move freely. So hope that helps. I'll do a whole video on that.
Does 6 times per week really provide more growth than 4 to 5 times per week? If so, is the growth really that major and worth it?
It all depends on, let's just say you're doing all the things right in terms of nutrition, rest, yada, yada, yada. Then there's the factor of like for me, like, do I need to train 6 days a week? No, because there's like my legs, like I say, I'm competing again, or I want to build muscle. My legs don't need 2 days a week of separate exercises, right? I can do the same exercise. I don't have to split those things up. But for like my chest, if I have a muscle group that needs more work, my chest needs more work. So I'm gonna train my chest twice a week. If you're someone who's like right from the beginning, who wants to just build muscle, yeah, for sure. 6 days a week is gonna be a lot better. Then you can always once your body's moving the way it's you're growing the way you want it to, you can kind of taper down and I would say isolate or put more attention to the muscle groups that are lagging behind than the others. So you don't have to train 6 days a week. You can also train each muscle group twice a week by doing a 4-day split too. It's all how you program.
I use my legs a lot to work, so working out my legs are excruciating, and I don't know how to work out my legs without it affecting my job. What should I do?
What is your job? Leg pressing?
That's a great question.
Yeah, tell me what your job is. I'm assuming you're probably doing labor, and maybe you're moving, or maybe you're doing like some kind of labor, you're lifting, or I don't know. I would say, I want to know what he does.
I will let you know.
Let me know what you do.
They answer that. Sorry. What is your recommendation for intra-workout hydration?
Amino fast. I'm dead serious. Our BCA formula is basically a hydration formula where it has pink lemon sea salt and coconut water powder. Helps with electrolytes, electrolyte balance. So if you don't have that and you're like, I'm married to something else, just make sure you're drinking enough water and put some a little bit of salt in your drink in your intra workout. That's gonna help with electrolyte balance. Because basically when you're training, you're sweating a lot, you want to replace the salt that you're losing, and there's nothing wrong with that at all. So that's what I would recommend. Gatorade Zero, anything like that works out fine.
Does protein help recovery faster, or is that marketing BS?
Marketing BS, I just say. Okay, so I take that back. There is relevance to that. Reason being is because your body can absorb it faster than a chicken breast, right? So if you look at like absorption from protein, if I'm eating like whole foods, steak, pasta, steak, chicken, pork, those things, your body has to break it down. You got to chew it first, break it down, your body breaks it down, then it goes to your blood system, blah, blah, blah. When I'm drinking a protein shake, your body absorbs it out faster and it'll help with recovery quicker. So yes, I could say 100% it does. I would say because of that truth, there is the marketing part of that makes it seem like it's gonna make recovery way faster. It's just gonna help recovery quicker because your body can absorb it faster than whole foods.
To bring up a muscle group, do you think it's always more beneficial to work it more often in the week? Example, delts should be worked 3 times per week and back once if shoulders need to grow.
100%. 100%. Great question. You're good shit. You get an award. Good job, Naz. Actually, great question.
Hello. Should we take creatine half an hour before a workout, or it doesn't really matter?
Just take it. Just take it. Don't make it. It's not like you got to put it this way. Think of this. Anytime that someone says you got to take this thing at a certain time, it's like your body doesn't work on your clock, right? So if I take creatine in the morning, my body's gonna be using creatine all day long, right? So You know, if it's easier for you as like your routine to help you remember to do it and you take it before you go to the gym, great, do that. Why not? But yeah, for sure, just don't worry about timing your creatine intake. Yeah.
X-Man, if you missed something, like the last point, you'll be able to rewatch it. It'll be under his live videos on his YouTube channel.
Yes. I should put that in a playlist.
That's a good idea. How can I lose my last 10 pounds in 2 weeks?
In 2 weeks, you gotta lose 5 pounds a week. So, couple things. I won't recommend it. You could probably do it. So here, I'll tell you from experience what I had to do to lose a lot of weight. And I'll let you, and I'll kind of give you an answer of like how hard that actually will be. Depending on where you're at in your fat loss journey and how much energy you have. During prep 1 year, I got a stomach virus right before my first full year competing. I did the New York Pro. Caught a stomach virus and it just all shit went to, it sucked. I would say 100% around 8 pounds over where I should have been to really be lean. So right away, show to show, I had 2 more shows. I had the California Pro right after that, and then I had the Toronto Pro the right after that. My goal was to lose as much as I could in the span of those 2 weeks. I had to do 3 hours of cardio a day. And I was eating around 1,900 calories a day. And at that time, I was 232 pounds on stage, already fairly lean, but not like where I should have been lean, right? So just to give you an idea, it's way harder to lose weight when your calories are low and you have enough muscle that your body needs energy to fuel that muscle and all the things your body actually needs. If you're at a place where you're eating enough calories and you got a good enough amount of fat in your body, you got to basically lose 3,500 calories is a pound of fat. So 3,500 calories times 10 pounds. So you got to do 35,000 calories in that much. So it's almost next to near impossible, but you could definitely, if you wanted to do 2 pounds, you'd have to be in a 1,000 calorie deficit from training. So if you want to do a pound of fat for sure, you have to do an hour of cardio, add another hour of cardio, that's 2 pounds, and then be in a 1,000 calorie deficit, that would be another 4 pounds. So think of that, 2 hours of cardio a day you'd have to do at least, and then 1,000 more calories less than you're eating. And that's in a perfect world. Do I recommend that? No, I don't. I say like go somewhere like halfway. Get off 5 pounds. You can do 5 pounds in 2 weeks for sure.
What are the most effective back exercises with dumbbells?
The most effective back exercises with dumbbells? Dumbbell pullovers, dumbbell rows.
What do you suggest to switch it up when you are sick of dieting and bored with your training plan? And how often should you switch plans/strategies? Training
plans? Mm-hmm. So I like how you said it when you're bored, because that's the only reason why you should change your training plan up. Here's why. Your body has there's a bunch of research that's done. Your body does a lot better job progressing when it's got to worry about one thing. So let's just say like most people man, when I coach them, they're like, did my training plan switch? Do I need to do another exercise? It's like, no, because once you do another thing, your body's got to relearn something, and then that's going to take precedence over actually growing as efficient as you possibly can. So if you're getting bored, I have my go-to exercises, then I have my other ones that if I'm bored, then I switch it up. So yeah, for sure, definitely what I would say, train as long as you can, and when you start feeling boredom, then I would say a couple things. Take a deload, right? One good way to make sure you don't get bored or you get motivation back up again is take a deload or take a week off of the gym, 3 to 7 days off. Don't go to the gym at all. And you'll find yourself running back to the gym, doing the exercises you're saying you're bored with. If you don't want to do that, just have a couple option exercises. So for me, I love doing Smith machine incline, press. If I don't have that, I have the machine over there that I will get if I get bored, and I like switching things up like that, right? So have some exercises that you like, your backup B and C go-to exercises, right? And do that. But yeah, I would switch up when you're actually bored, but don't switch things up just because you think that it's gonna confuse the muscle, because also going to confuse yourself. And then, yeah.
Going back to the person who's training legs.
Yeah, what's he doing?
Yeah. So he does a lot of ladder work because he paints houses. So he's on ladders, up and down steps, like all day.
Yeah, man. So what was this question about? How many exercises?
He is wondering how he can like train legs, but training legs affects his day, like his work day.
So here's what I suggest, and this is like some things I've suggested other people who have like, you know, very hard labor jobs like this. I would say keeping your leg day as far away from your work week, meaning like do it on the weekend, if anything, that'll help. But then also making sure that you're eating enough, because I know a lot of times when it comes to people doing labor, they don't eat as much as they should. That's why you see sometimes most labor people, they're kind of ripped. They're kind of like, they're either ripped or skinny fat. I don't mean that in a bad way, but it's because they're working constantly all the time that, you know, eating is not like, you know, the food truck might come by, they're eating lunch, they may have eaten breakfast, and they go over, they're eating dinner. Meanwhile, they just burned a ton of calories throughout the day from the labor they're doing, and especially if it's warm outside, even more. So a couple of things, make sure that you're getting enough water and all those things nutrition-wise, you're getting that done. And then I would say like keeping your leg day maybe like on a Saturday or Sunday. I would say on a Saturday, give yourself time to heal.
Friday, in case you have that second day, like the worst day is the second day.
Yeah, well, I mean, I train once. Yeah. Train on Saturday. Saturday morning.
Want to thank the person reading the questions. You're welcome. What do you recommend for training style, strength, size, and flexibility or mobility?
What? Say it again.
What do you recommend for like a training style for like strength, size, and flexibility or mobility?
All of it. All of it. You have to put all those things in. And that's, I think it's something I've been trying to, and maybe I just do a lot more of it because I'm still going to question. There's nothing wrong with you guys asking that question. But I think that the issue we have is that we're thinking that we should only train one type of way when we should train all those ways. Like there's relevance for training for strength. There is relevance for training to build muscle. We need to be flexible and mobile because, you know, a healthy joint is one that can run through its full range of motion. So if I'm not flexible or mobile in my shoulder, then it doesn't really matter if I'm training for strength hypertrophy. If I can't do a certain movement because I'm getting more pain because I'm in a range that I'm not used to, you can see where it becomes problematic. So I would say like, that's why periodization is good and has its place, because you can train for, you know, hypertrophy to build muscle and create a base of good muscle, and then strength being that byproduct of hypertrophy, and then going into a phase where you're training for strength. And it doesn't mean that you're doing like, you know, 1 rep maxes, but it could just be you lowering the rep range, speeding your rep speed up, and then having a heavier load, doing that for like 4 weeks, and then going back, you know, rinse and repeat. And while you're doing that, you're sandwiching your workouts with like some kind of mobility and then static stretching or something after, or maybe you're doing yoga or something. But it all needs to work together, not just one. Because I did that. I used to be I am right now good. But when I played football, I was all the above. I was training for strength, for hypertrophy. I was mobile, fast, all those good things. I started bodybuilding, put that to the wayside, and then all of a sudden, shit hits the fan because now I'm not doing those things. And now I find myself now doing all those things I should have did and continue when I was bodybuilding. So long story short, all of it.
Yo, Johnny, have a question for you. So seeing you coach up Dr. Mike, now would you do your version of his Superman training split? Because that would be awesome.
Yeah, heck yeah.
That's a good idea.
Yeah, heck yeah, I'll do that for sure.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Thanks for the shout out, guys. I've had low back pain for 1 year. Where should I start?
Core and mobility, right? So lower back pain can be a bunch of different things. Number one, always look for the foundation first of why the back is hurting. So it could be just basically how you're standing, how your feet are, shoes that you're wearing, your I would say, technique and fundamentals and form when you're doing certain exercises. You know, having good hip mobility and flexibility is going to help out with your lower back, and then core engagement. So those things, work your way up. If you're doing exercises and things are kind of wonky and wobbly, that's going to be probably one of the issues that are causing you pain in your lower back. And then obviously, like, you know, mobility and flexibility. If you can't bend over and touch the floor, you know, like we should all be able to do this. And I'm not bragging, because I for years wasn't able to do it because I was just big as hell and couldn't wipe my ass. So like, yes, you know, we should be able to do easy things like that. If we can't get on the ground and stand up with ease, there is an issue. We should be able to literally get down on the ground, and I get an issue here, and be able to just get up without worrying. You should be able to do that. If we can't do that, we just do that. I'm dead serious. Everybody who's watching right now, put your shit down. If you're not at work, you're probably at work, so don't do that. But when you get a chance, literally go home. I want you to not use your hands. Go to the ground and stand back up. And if you are having an issue doing that, I don't care what your goals are. That needs to be your number one goal, is to be able to get on the ground and get back up with ease. Because if you can't, who cares how much you can bench press?
Why is hack squat so much harder than normal squat or other leg machines?
What? Hack squat's harder than squatting? Than a bar on your back?
That's what the question is, yep.
Yeah, it's hard. That's a good problem, to be honest. Probably could be like, if you find that hack squat's harder than putting a bar on your back and squatting, and I'm assuming you're using the same weight because that's why you're saying it's harder, I would say it could be your form in the hack squat machine or the hack squat machine itself and the load, because sometimes those things don't, the carry over in terms of like the consistency in the load is going to be a little different. When you're squatting, everything gets lighter at the top. So that's why you can sit over like this, like, you know, at the top of a set. The lower you go, the harder it gets. When you're coming on the way back up, when you're squatting, it gets easier. In certain machines, like a pendulum hack squat, it's the consistency is in the entire range because of how it's built. So that could be it. So I would go to your form and, you know, see how things are. And there's some hack squat machines that are just like the Cybex hack machine. I don't know if you're using the Cybex one, but the Cybex hack squat machine is freaking hard. So, yeah.
Hi, how do I program two lifts that affect each other's recovery, like overhead press and bench press?
How do I what?
How do I program two lifts that affect each other's recovery? For example, overhead press and bench press.
They affect each other's recovery? Don't put them on the same day. Yeah. I'm gonna say like have them separate. Right? Like I would, like that's why you kind of like, you know, push-pull legs, you're doing push-pull legs and you're doing push-pull legs. Or like, you know, you're doing one push day and you're breaking that push day up with maybe back or whatever, then you're doing another push day, and your different push days are having different exercises. Maybe one day you're just doing chest, the other day you're doing your overhead pressing, and it gives you more time to rest and recover. Watch more of my videos.
Do you think with your size, strength, and perhaps flexibility, you are well enough to be a heavyweight MMA fighter, or do you need to trim down?
You're talking about me?
Yes,
me.
Yes, as Johnny Shreve.
As Johnny Shreve.
Yes.
Can I be? No.
Do you think your size, strength, and flexibility?
Hell no. Hell no. So rewind 12 years ago when I first started bodybuilding. My brother's an MMA analyst. He's on YouTube. He was actually pretty popular at the time. Either way, when I finished playing football, I'm like, yo, I'm gonna do MMA. And my brother's like, no, you're not. There's no money in it, number one, and two, you're gonna have to cut down, or you're gonna be fighting people that are 6 foot plus. So fast forward to present day, I'm 215 pounds, right? 215, 220. How big is John Jones? Right? John Jones is around-ish that. I think he's super heavy now. Either way, I'd be fighting everybody this tall, right? So like, it doesn't matter how strong and fast I am, the reach problem, that's problematic as hell. So for me, I would have to cut my ass right the hell down and fight people that are, you know, light heavyweights, or not even light heavyweights are taller than me, right? Adesanya is a light heavyweight for Pete's sake. So no, I had to shrink my ass right down, fighting like 165, 170. And then I would probably be okay. But in that point too, it's like, it's not just easy to be like, yeah, I'm gonna do MMA. It's not even close that easy.
Luca, they are barefoot shoes. Is it really true to power building, you don't maximize muscle growth and strength since you are focused on both at the same time? Or would you say that's false and would obtain the same amount of muscle?
Okay, so I can only speak from experience. I don't know how much research is done on this. I'm sure Mike's done some, but back in the day, when I moved in with Greg Doucette, my training was power bodybuilding. I'm pretty sure he might have been one of the biggest advocates of power bodybuilding. And I made a ton of gains of power bodybuilding. I think the issue is how you're programming power bodybuilding. So for instance, for me, when it came to like bench press, we would start off doing flat press and we do a pyramid. Basically, we'd go from a high rep range. I did Greg style, and Greg style people they jive on it, but like his powerlifting coaching ability is actually like superior as hell. So we started I did his cycle, but his periodization and his pyramid scheme. So he pyramid down, go from like higher rep range and add weight, add until we got to that 1 to 6 rep range. And then when we're done doing our bench, then we go into dumbbell or incline, sufficient incline, dumbbell incline, or machine incline, and then into our accessory work. Same when it came to legs. Leg day we would do, or back day we would do sumos first. So we do sumos first, we do pull-ups first, and then do our sumo progression into the rest of our back day and so forth. So like it worked for me, but genetics obviously play into that, and as well as enhancements. So I would say that it worked for me because I won my pro card. I won, I was winning a lot up until, I became a pro, and then didn't win anything after that. But it works. Like I said, it's how it's programmed, right?
So that's time. We'll do a couple more quick ones.
Yeah, a couple more questions.
Cardio first and then training, or training first and then cardio?
If you're trying to build muscle, training first.
Are drinking protein shakes that necessary if I get my protein from chicken?
It does. So yeah, if you're getting your protein needs in from Whole Foods, there is no need for protein shakes.
What's a good body fat percentage to be at when bulking?
Anything up to, I'm going to say 17%.
Yes, Daryl, he does have a beautiful daughter.
Thank you, man.
Also, already having. How long would it take for you to? Nope, that's not a real question.
Oh. Trolls.
How do I prevent cardio from killing my leg gains?
How do you prevent cardio from killing your leg gains? Leg gains,
yeah.
Just make sure you're eating enough food, calorie-wise, recovery-wise, 100%. Cardio will not ruin your gains. If you're sprinting every day and not fueling yourself, yeah, the running is going to ruin your gains, but bodybuilders do cardio all the time. Some of the best bodybuilders in the world do cardio all the time, and their legs are massive, except for them, clad in physique mugs, but we ain't talking about them.
Call it.
Anyway, that's it, guys. I appreciate you guys. Remember, guys, every Monday at this time, I'm doing a Q&A every Monday, so do not forget. And if you want more of this, guys, join my school group. You get even more of this in my school group, more intimate in terms of one-on-one. Either way. Until next time, guys, videos coming out every day, 6 days a week. Until next time, guys, you know how it is. Iron sharpens iron, progressive overload your life. Appreciate you guys all. Keep chasing.
Peace.